Jackie, I love your bracelet.
Yeah.
See, look. Look. We are back online, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we're ready to go. Okay, we're going to call this meeting to order. This is going to be a regular meeting of the Seldovia City Council, Monday, July 27th, 2026. Time is 6:14 p.m. We apologize for running late. We had a work session that ran long and we needed to get that finished up as we had multiple folks that were calling in and giving a report. So that was for our water and sewer infrastructure and the long-term planned replacement of and or repair many parts of that for the community here. So we're going to do a roll call. Let's see, Barbara is going to be absent. Keith Lee. Can you hear us, Ashley?
Yes, but I'm probably going to have to sign off in just a couple minutes. I apologize, guys.
Yep, no worries.
Okay.
Langbart?
Here.
Okay, Coleman?
Here.
Taylor?
Here.
And Peyton?
Here.
Okay. All right. That leaves us with, we do have a quorum, so we will continue on. If you'll join me in the pledge allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of
the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. We do have Barbara as an excused absence, and looks like we will also have Keith Lee. She told us that she would likely not be able to make this meeting. So, all right, we'll go ahead and look for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion by Coleman to approve tonight's agenda, second by Taylor. Any further discussion on tonight's agenda before we vote? Okay, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of tonight's agenda. All those in favor, Keith Lee?
Aye.
Langbart?
Aye.
Coleman?
Aye.
Taylor?
Aye.
Peyton?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 5 in the affirmative and no objections and 1 absent. That'll take us down to item E, consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are approved with a single motion, no discussion, and 1 vote. The council member may request to remove any item for discussion and a separate vote. Items removed from the consent agenda will be placed under new business. Our consent agenda tonight consists of item 1, approval of minutes. Those are from the regular meeting of June 8th, 2026. Second item is ordinance 27-01, a non-code ordinance of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, amending the FY27 budget by appropriating $11,000 from the Major Maintenance and Repair Fund, unassigned funds to the capital projects, stormwater improvements for the Ray Vista Stormwater Improvement Project. And that's got a recommended public hearing for August 10th, 2026. Third item on the consent agenda tonight is resolution 27-03, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, approving a service agreement with the Alaska Municipal League for zoning code alignment analysis and authorizing the city manager to execute the appropriate documents. Does any member wish to remove any item for separate discussion tonight? Okay, hearing none, I will go ahead and look for a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda by Peyton with a second by Langbart. Any further discussion on the consent agenda before we vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of tonight's consent agenda. All those in favor, Keithley,
Aye.
Langbart,
Aye.
Coleman,
Aye.
Taylor,
Aye.
and Peyton.
Aye.
Motion carries 5 in the affirmative, none opposed, 1 absent. All right, item F, mayoral proclamations, none this evening. Item G, public presentations, prior notice. I see we have none, Liz. That's still the case.
Yes, it is, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, item H, public presentation for items not on the agenda. Do we have anyone signed up or any hands raised for this evening?
We have nobody signed up and I am not seeing any hands raised, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Move on to item I, committee and advisory board reports. None listed for this evening. That'll take us down to item J, administrative reports. Looks like the first one's going to be the finance report.
Give me a moment while I promote.
And I see
Finance.
Jan's, looks like Jan's on tonight, so we'll get her hooked up here in just a second.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, we got you, Jan.
All right. We have made technological progress since the last quarterly report. Glad to hear it. Let me just take a minute to get my screen on the right report so that I can see it as well. The problem switching from multi-monitors to a small laptop. So once again, as I generally do this quarter, rather than give you a very tiny glimpse of where we are in a very young new fiscal year, instead I've done a summary of FY26. And so the finance report that you've got in your packets is as of June 30th, and I haven't looked forward beyond that. I do want to make note that FY26 is technically finished, but really until we're at least 60 days out, there's still a lot of numbers that are adjusting and so on. The occasional odd bill that hasn't come in yet, et cetera. So this is still a little bit of a forecast, especially as it comes to remote seller sales tax, because that does run a little bit late. And so what's in your finance report right now is only through April. I got May in, I think the day after I put this in the packet. And then, of course, June is still outstanding. But as we look at the general fund, one thing I guess, looking at the overall picture, I was really impressed with what an excellent job of forecasting Heidi did in terms of revenues, because you'll see as you go through that, we're really quite close to 100%, or we're over at almost every level. 103% overall of projected revenues accrued, sales tax 102%. Real property tax at 96, motor vehicle at 98, et cetera. Personal property tax came in well over at 124. The one that is a little bit low is the remote seller sales tax, which is at 92%. But again, that is only through April. And so that leaves both May and June outstanding. And those, of course, are at the 6.5%. And so those are pretty significant numbers. I know that May came in at over $10,000. And so I expect that remote sellers sales tax, when the year is actually finally complete and accounted for, will actually be over 100%. In terms of the general fund projected expenditures, our average out was about 85% of expenditures. Every subsection did come in under budget, so we were happy to see that. Of course, that's always what we shoot for, is to be over in revenues and under in expenses. And we did achieve that this year so far. Again, there's a little bit still outstanding, but I expect that we're going to be able to maintain that. And then the investment interest, which again does not include the Charles Schwab account, because that's not really interest, that's more change in value, is 21,500 and change. Which is also, again, a good number. I guess I just think back to a few years ago when I started, when our interest rates were something like $6 to $7 a month. And so obviously we've seen a good change there. The water special revenue fund, well, actually all the special revenue funds, I'm just going to lump them together. They all came in net in the black for FY26, which was nice to see. The revenues for sewer were a little bit under the projected budget, and I'm not quite sure why that is. I haven't had a chance to dig into that yet. But the expenditures were also well under projected budget, and so you can see that even though we were under with revenues, our net effect for sewer was still a little bit over $17,000 to the black, so that was good to see. And even the dock came in the black this year, thanks to more regular service from the Alaska Marine Highway System. So again, that was good to see. If you look at the spreadsheet, you will notice the one revenue fund, which is senior meals, which is, obviously that's a grant program. It's not truly a special revenue fund. That one is reading at, I don't have that quite in front of me. Let me pull that up. That one is showing a deficit of about just under $8,600, but that is not reflective of actual numbers. That is because that is a reimbursement-based grant, like most of our grants. And so when I closed it out on June 30th, I had not yet submitted the Q4 reports to the state and to the borough. And so when I actually look at expenses against the revenue that we'll get when we reclaim the full reimbursement of the grants, I think we were overspent with the grants by about $600, and that does not include the per meal reimbursement that we get, and it does not include the donations that we get. And so that program will also be a little bit revenue positive for us, which is great because that gives us revenue to put forward to future years for it. In terms of the audit, it is ongoing, but it should be very close to wrapping up. I think that they are in the process of writing the financial statements. And so I expect that we will see that we will see the actual complete audit here before too long. And the really good news is the Taylor Tax and Accounting, which is the firm that we've hired to help us with some of the accounting and so on, are already working on FY26 and looking at quarterly reports and so on. And so we do anticipate that when the time comes to submit FY26 to the auditors, it should be a much faster process. And I know that some of the holdup with the audit was not only because, we had a lot of work to do on our end, but it was also because LG Rayfield is apparently a very popular auditing firm, and they were a little bit overwhelmed, I think, with just kind of the number of projects they had in general, and that ended up delaying ours a little bit. But we do anticipate having that soon, and that is kind of what I have for now. Other than that, and we have a lot of grants, which is fabulous, but it does mean a lot of grant reports, and so that is keeping me pretty busy at the moment. But we're getting through them, and I think when I started, we had 2 grants, and I think now the city has, Heidi can probably tell for certain, but between 14 and 17. And so it just shows that we have a lot going on, and I just really want to recognize Heidi and the other grant writers that both inside the city and out that have put those together. And that's what I have for now, and I am available for questions.
Yeah, thank you, Jan. Yeah, that's pretty good news all the way around. Things are definitely looking up here. Anyone from council, either online or in person, that has questions or comments on the finance report tonight? Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Jan. Appreciate your report this evening. Next up is Layla with the Harbor Report. Layla's in person tonight, so we'll let her go ahead and give her report.
I decided to join y'all tonight because Liz personally came down and invited me. So it's just been a busy, crazy summer, and we're just kind of keeping our head above water. We do have some special projects going on. Water lines, like always, A float have been completed, and E is pretty close now. One of the toilets in the women's bathroom has been replaced. Bigger chore than expected. Dan will get to that one as soon as he comes up with a better plan for digging out concrete. Bay safety will be here tomorrow, so we'll be able to do all the buildings, doing fire extinguishers. once a year deal, and that's about all I got. Any questions?
What happened to the toilet in the women's bathroom?
So despite the rumors, Stan actually took it out.
Oh, okay.
I guess there's a challenge going around that you steal bathroom toilets and bathroom doors.
Stealing bathroom toilets?
Yeah, it's a thing on TikTok, I guess. But no, Stan took that out to replace it with a newer version. It was just really old.
Fun. It would have been funner to think that it got stolen and put in someone's backyard though.
Yeah, it was removed and placed at the landfill.
Mr. Mayor, if
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
may, I would just really like to take a moment, since Layla's here, for all her years of service at the city. I think it's been over 16 years.
Woo-hoo.
As she mentioned, she goes around every year with base safety and inspects all the fire extinguishers in each building. She keeps up with her OSHA training and a lot of the other safety trainings in the city. During an emergency, she is our logistics coordinator. And really, I think it's not recognized often enough how much she helps support the safety of Seldovia. So we did have a little promotion for Layla with the new fiscal year. And while she is our harbor master, she's also our safety coordinator. And I wanted that to be recognized because she does so much for us every year behind the scenes to ensure that we are safe. In fact, she's on a safety committee with me and our SBFD administrator, and we meet monthly and we make sure we're checking through off the steps for our insurance company and providing trainings to the employees and having personal protection equipment that we need. And Layla's just been really critical in keeping all of those programs going. So I really wanted to thank her for her support and for continuing to step up for Seldovia. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Layla. Much appreciated. Yeah, some of that's definitely a thankless job at times. Obviously very necessary component of what we do at the city, and I appreciate you taking the time and investing the time to do that. So much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you, Layla.
Any other comments, questions for Layla on the harbor this evening?
Yep, you're a delight. We appreciate you, Layla. Thank you. Thank you for bringing where the toilets are and making sure that everybody in your crew is safe.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Layla. Appreciate it. Okay, looks like the next report up is going to be our Public Works report.
Mr. Mayor, there is not a written report. Let me check and see if Amanda's on. It looks like she might be. They've also been extremely busy,
Hey,
so
Heidi, this is Riley here. I have the report.
Riley is here.
I'm giving the report. Sorry.
Perfect, thank you.
All right. We've been staying plenty busy this summer, working on resolving issues in our water system. And as we expected, once the ground thawed, numerous leaks started popping up all over. We found multiple service leaks on Augustine Avenue and dealt with them. And we've been fighting an ongoing battle with the Dock Street water main. Earlier in the summer, the main broke on 2 separate occasions, and our crew dug and replaced sections of the pipe. And during the Tustamina chain run this month, our crew went to work digging up the entirety of the water main, starting at the dock and working back towards Main Street. Our goal here is to not only locate the large leak that still exists somewhere on the main, but also insulate the whole pipe because it's notorious for freezing every winter. We've done a lot of leak detection, but we cannot pinpoint exactly where the leak is on this run of water main because there are multiple repair clamps and they break the continuity of the leak detection equipment. So those tests all come back inconclusive. But we're hoping to find that as well as the shop service line, office and shop, and repair that and keep on insulating it. And now that the Tustamina is back making regular visits, the remainder of this project will be postponed until the next chain run in August. We have completed the replacement of the C Street culvert, and we plan on moving on with the Vista and Raby culvert project soon. We're also planning on installing a new set of stairs on the outside of the multipurpose building and work on resealing the top of our water storage tank up at the water treatment plant, as well as keeping up with our normal facility, vehicle, and road maintenance. If anyone has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
Yeah, thank you, Riley. Appreciate that information. Any questions, comments from anyone on council for Riley tonight on the Public Works report?
Great job, guys. I just have to say, that's a lot. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I know you guys have been super busy on the water side, so, and obviously that kind of takes priority de facto. We don't really have a choice on that when those pop up. So, and yeah, obviously that kind of impacts the your guys' ability to do your normal day-to-day stuff and any other additional projects that were planned. So, yeah, you guys are doing a great job with the limited staff you have, and thanks for the update and appreciate all the hard work.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd just like to pipe up and say thanks for such an excellent job out there at the Jackalope Bay site. I know that that's been many years coming, and that had to have been a pretty large lift when you guys were rushing out there to do that amongst all the other things that you do. So to add extra something more to your plate and to do such a good job, we appreciate you. Thank you for that, you guys. You do a lot and we see you. We don't always say it, but you're great.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks to the staff for those reports. Appreciate that. That will move us on down to item K, public hearings, none scheduled for this evening. Item L, unfinished business, none scheduled. Item M, new business. Item M1, resolution 27-01, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, granting a variance permit to reduce parking requirements from 2 residential parking spaces to 1 residential parking space for Kenai Peninsula Borough parcel 192062118. This will be found on page 22 of your packet, and we'll let the city clerk give us the rundown here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So on page 22, you will find resolution 2701, as Mayor Campbell stated. And following on page 24, you'll see the staff report for the variance. And I have pulled it up on the screen here. So this is a variance. The applicant is Ray Wadsworth. The location is 270 Shoreline Drive, KPB parcel ID number 192062118. And the applicant is requesting relief from 18.40.070, which is parking and off-street loading. So for dwelling units, the requirement is 2 spaces per dwelling unit, and the variance is requesting that be reduced to a single 10 by 20 foot parking space. And I'll just run through the report real quick if council wants to.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so under the summary, you'll see the applicant is proposing to build a small 2-story log cabin on the existing dock that was built a couple of years ago. And upon the preliminary staff review of the application, there was no parking spaces notated on that site development plan. So the applicant was informed that 2 parking spaces would be necessary, and the applicant is requesting a variance to that parking requirements to reduce that to 1 parking space alongside the road easement, so as not to destroy the spruce trees that would need to be removed in order to maintain some slope stability. And so he did submit a variance application on June 2nd, 2026. And below you'll see the code that he's asking for relief from. And there was a public notice, hearing notice mailed out, and notice for the July 1st, 2026 Seldovia Planning Commission meeting. And those were sent out to property owners within 200 feet, 300 feet. And we have not received any written public comments. The Seldovia Planning Commission did hold that public hearing on July 1st, but due to a recent lack of commission membership, they were unable to have enough votes to act on that variance application, which is why it's coming before the council today. So you can see on page 25 here, scroll down my screen. At the very top, you'll see the motion from the planning commission was to move to recommend approval of the variance request by the city council and refer to the city council for action with additional information on hazard review from Public Works and slope stability from the Kenai Peninsula Borough. So below that, you'll see the intent of variances, which is to grant and provide relief from when a literal enforcement of the zoning code would deprive a property owner of that reasonable use of their real property. And all of the following conditions listed below under the criteria for consideration according to Seldovia Municipal Code must be found before a variance is granted. So I've listed those criteria here and the findings from the staff report, which are also the findings that are written into the resolution as well. And if you'd like me to go through all the criteria.
Yeah, you can just go through there quickly, summarize all that and go through there.
So criteria 1 is that a literal interpretation of the provisions of the zoning code would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same district. And you'll see the staff findings that as provided by the applicant and confirmed by staff, the terrain does not provide a natural parking space. And there is room for one 10 by 20 foot parking space between those trees that can be built of dock timbers as the applicant intends to do it. Keeping the existing trees would be beneficial for the slope stability. Criteria 2 is special conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land or structures involved and which are not applicable to other lands and structures in the same district. And under findings, we have the lot is on a steep hill extending 40 feet down to the slough, and the width of that lot along the road is 43 feet, and there are 5 mature spruce trees there which help hold the soil from eroding into the slough. So without removing those trees, there is room for 1 parking space, but not 2. And criteria number 3 is that the special conditions and circumstances have not been caused by the applicant. And these conditions and circumstances are attributed to the natural topography and the placement of the road as the findings. Criteria number 4 is that financial hardship or inconvenience shall not be the reason for granting a variance. And the findings listed are that this is not a financial hardship or inconvenience due to slough access. And according to the Kenai Peninsula Borough, that water access is considered an applicable access. And criteria 5 is that other non-conforming land use or structures within the district shall not be considered grounds for granting a variance. And under the findings, we've written in the granting of this variance permit is not based on other non-conforming land uses or structures within the same land use or zoning district. And criteria 6 is that it shall be the minimum variance necessary to permit reasonable use of the land or structure. And the applicant has requested the minimum variance necessary by requesting that reduction from 2 spaces to 1 parking space for residential use. And if on the wrong mouse. Criteria number 7 is on page 26. The last one is that a variance shall not be granted, which would permit a land use in a district in which that use is otherwise prohibited. And this is the waterfront commercial residential district. So granting that variance would not permit any land use that was otherwise prohibited, since residential use and commercial use are both allowable within the waterfront commercial residential district. And then following, you'll see staff comments. And that the applicant has answered all criteria, demonstrates that there are special conditions and circumstances, and there's not a financial hardship or inconvenience due to the slough access. And so according to the borough, that water access is considered applicable. And the variance requested does not change the land use and appears to be the minimum variance necessary. And those conditions and circumstances have not been caused by the applicant, but due to natural terrain. And I would note that in the staff comments in the next session, the applicant has stated that they would be interested in increasing that variance to allow for no parking spaces instead of 1 as originally requested, if that were found to be beneficial. And that the applicant will need to complete a new multi-agency application with the Kenai River Center and obtain any of those necessary permits prior to the construction of the dwelling unit and finalizing that building permit. And I'll add that the information requested by the Planning Commission regarding hazards and slope stability has been requested. And those will be forwarded to Public Works for review of those site development and right-of-way permits. And you can see the attached correspondence with the Kenai River Center from there. And the recommendation is to consider the approval of the variance request through resolutions 2701 and include findings or recommendations. And as I said, those findings from the staff report are in the resolution right now, but those can be added, removed, or amended at council's pleasure.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and bring it back to council for initial comments, concerns, questions.
So is this the corner lot on Anderson Way and Slough Shoreline? Is it the one where they're building a cabin on the corner?
No.
Can't tell from this itty bitty picture of where
No,
exactly.
it's from just across from Cutter and Madeline's old house there, right on the
Oh, right on this.
across over the side.
Yeah.
Towards the airport.
Just across shoreline, and you can see the dock from the other side, and there's stairs going down
Okay.
to it. So it's just across, as Mayor Campbell said, from where those houses are on Shoreline Drive.
I don't see any problem with granting this variance. I don't want to see, well, let me back up. I don't see a problem with granting the variance. I think that I think we should encourage people that want to build and build safely and build well. And they have to go through the permitting process. Sounds good to me. I would not like to see, there not be parking established for them, because what happens when you don't have a space to park is that, and that's a really narrow street, people will end up parking on the road. And that's already you go down that hill around the corner, visibility is already an issue. But I think safety wise, allowing one space for a parked vehicle is fair.
Okay. Anyone else on council?
Mr. Mayor.
Yep, go ahead, Harmony.
Yep, I'd just like to echo Amon's Coleman's thought there on, I agree that everybody should have access and use of their property, but they also do need to comply with proper parking etiquette. So I think one at allowing for the variance is great. We just need to make sure that it's understood that they are expected to have one vehicle and park within that parking space, not one in the space and one on the road. Because as stated, it is a very narrow thoroughway there. And that's already an issue throughout the community. So we don't need to add to that number.
It is just on Shoreline.
Yeah.
There's a lot of road parking on Shoreline that they don't have that property where they can build a driveway. So their driveway is the road, and that does create a problem certain times of the year, especially in the winter time.
Yeah.
Narrower.
Safety issue.
Yeah, I'll go and just chime in. Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with everyone here. I think the one space is the minimum I'd like to see there. It's certainly with the trees, the topography. Yeah, I wouldn't want to see them take out any more trees there. So that seems to make sense. I think, yeah, that's obviously that's going to be a pretty good structural feat there. He's gonna have to build that on timbers and kind of cantilever that out, or however he's gonna do that. So yeah, obviously you guys will probably see that on the building permit at some point here when he gets what's closer to that. So yeah, no, that should work out pretty well. He'll be able to access his property, park, and then I think, going through, I think, planning commission, the application, and then the planning commission going through that, coming up with all the criteria on the findings. I support all they did a good job on all that. That's all good responses, total common sense on all of this. So obviously, we've talked about this before. We don't like just going and rubber stamping variances. That's not the intent of the code, but occasionally, the quirky lots and driveways and everything we have in this town, yeah, you have to. I mean, it just makes good common sense. So, glad to see another structure going up. Obviously that'll be a good for the community. So, yeah, I think this is responsible thing to do for the council is to grant this. One makes perfectly good sense. So I'm totally in support of this. Any other questions, comments from council before we go to the public? Okay, hearing none. Anyone from the public have any questions, comments on resolution 27-01?
Being a moment, I am not seeing any hands, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, and we'll go ahead and bring resolution 27-01 back to council for final action. I'd look for a motion for final approval on this.
I'll make a motion to pass resolution 27-01.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion to pass resolution 27-01 by Peyton. We have a second by Coleman. Any additional? comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Yep, go ahead.
that was actually Langbert who made the motion.
Yeah.
Oh, was it? Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. So it'd be Langart that made the motion to approve resolution 27-01 with the second by Coleman. Okay, now that I stand corrected,
Mr.
There's-
Mayor, could I just ask for clarification? Did council want to change or remove or add any findings at this time?
any additional findings or anything from anyone other than what's in the resolution?
That it was pretty
I
self-explanatory.
think they covered everything.
Yeah, I think you guys did a good job on addressing all those, so go ahead and leave that as is. All right, if there's no additional comments, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of resolution 27-01. All those in favor? See, Keithley's gone, so we're down to 4. So Langbart,
Aye.
Coleman,
I.
Taylor,
Hey,
and Peyton.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes with 4 in the affirmative, none opposed, and 2 absent. Okay, thank you everyone for that. That'll take us to item M2, resolution 27-02, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Seldovia, Alaska, awarding Pink Llama Sopri a 1-year lease with the option for one individual 1-year lease renewal at a monthly base rent of $298 for Seldovia Space Suite 104, located at 259 Lipke Lane, and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute the appropriate documents. And if you want to give us the rundown, Heidi?
Page 65, this is a resolution awarding a 1-year lease with the option for a 1-year individual renewal at base rate of $298.
Hold on. Hi, hey Heidi. I can barely hear you online.
Is this better?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay, so you'll see on page 67, and I apologize, the resolution number did not make it in to the document itself, so that should be 2702.
Yep.
Throughout the report there. They get numbered late after reports are written. So with that, giving you a summary that this is a 1-year lease with applicant Rosie Moore. And it does have a fiscal impact of $1788 a year plus sales tax, as well as noting that long-term tenants are required to maintain liability insurance. It gives you some background on the Seldovia space as a rental opportunity. And that was made through Ordinance 1911, that the office space would be authorized for business and office related opportunities for a beneficial new industry of economic development or a venture that would benefit the community's economic growth and support the city's comprehensive plan. I did want to make sure to point out where that comprehensive plan does align with leases of these leases of this sort. Being an economy goal E1, increase the availability of quality year-round employment, as well as action E1 to support local businesses, and then community and social services, serve broad public interests, with action C41 incentivize new community programs and services. That one might be a little bit of a stretch with the business itself, but as a service that the city provides, rentals in that building is really what that's hitting on. Do recommend consideration of this resolution, and I did provide a lease example so you can see if council approves this lease, of what that would look like, and that's going to be from page 68 to the end of the packet. I do see that applicant Rosie Moore is online if you guys have any questions, and I'm here for questions to the administration. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Great. Thank you, Heidi. Appreciate it. We'll go ahead and take resolution 27-02 back to council for questions, comments, concerns.
I have a question for Heidi.
Yep, go ahead,
Heidi,
Jackie.
how many spaces are rented in the Seldovia building now?
Thank you. Through the mayor, excellent question. So we do have one long-term tenant who's in the middle of a 5-year lease. I think they have 2 left, 3 or 2 left. And then the Chamber of Commerce has an MOA for the next couple of years for their space. And then we also have the veterinarian who uses one of the spaces like once a month. And then we have 2 open spaces, a suite 104 and then suite, I can't remember the number, up in the upper right corner, which we've temporarily turned into kind of an overfull office space for city employees, especially on like ferry days. There's been a time where we've been in meetings or conferences and we've needed to have quiet, and that building can get really
Yeah.
busy. So it's been a nice breakaway space, in particular for the city clerk, because she gets to hear all the traffic coming in and out of the door. So it can still be rented if needed, but at this time it is being temporarily used by city employees. But Suite 104 is fully vacant.
Okay, any additional comments, questions from council?
You know, I'm wondering because I've been in that space before and it's pretty small. Have we looked at, I'm assuming, and I'm just excuse my ignorance, but if it's a soapery, there might be a lot of fragrances, there might be something. I mean, would that impact negatively any of the other spaces possibly? Just as a future concern, you know? Because I do know that sometimes those odors can be kind of, you know, I know like in bathrooms I've been in before, they've said, you know, please don't use any products in here because other people might have allergies to them.
Through the mayor, excellent question. I do know of one individual that it might directly impact who has sensitivities, actually 2 that are using it temporarily. We could reach out to the other tenants and see if they have any comments.
Like the veterinarian.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I mean, I'm just thinking with, you know, would that be something because animals have different or factories. I have no idea how that would play out, but it might just be something that we might just look a little deeper into it before we.
Yeah, it'd certainly be worth the question to look into that.
And I have another question, Mr. Mayor.
Yep, go ahead.
I believe when that building was repurposed years ago, I didn't really think it was retail for retail shops. I thought it was more business. You know, we had a nurse in there, online nurse, we had more office type
With a counselor in
business,
there
not
too.
really retail. Are we looking to change that, or is it either or?
So through the mayor, I mean, I think that's up to your purview and code. It does allow for small manufacturing, which I believe is more what the intent from the application is for the space, not necessarily selling product, but making product, which would be small manufacturing. However, we have not discussed that as an applicable use in that space. It is something that we do allow on public property per recent code changes. But if you guys want to have a bigger
Sure.
conversation on what the intent and future of Seldovia space is, I know we've also talked about potentially having those become City of Seldovia offices, but that won't be for a few more years because of a grant we're under. But that could be a bigger conversation that we could have if you guys want to have more input on how that space is used.
I mean, so you're saying this is more of manufacturing, it's not a storefront?
That's my understanding, but I do believe the applicant is online if you guys want to allow a response from
Yeah,
her.
yeah, no, that's real quick. Maybe, Rosie, can you, let's see here. She's gonna grant you permission there. Rosie, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Hey, can you just give us a quick overview of what your plan is in the shop there in terms of manufacturing, kind of the day-to-day rundown, and or is there the intent for retail as part of that, or what's the plan down there?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, it is, I'm basically requesting the space to manufacture my soaps. I'm selling online. I'm not doing any type of storefront or anything like that. I just don't want to have it in my house because I don't have the space in my house. And I just don't want it in my house at all altogether. I just want to be able to, come home and enjoy my home without, having all my soap making and supplies and things all over the place. So it's just basically a place for me to make my soaps and to be able to do all things soap related there. As far as the fragrance concern is, I don't uh use a lot of fragrance in my soaps because I myself, with me making the soap, I'm in there with all those fragrances, all day or whenever I am making the soap. So I'm sensitive to the scent myself. So I don't use a full load of fragrance oil. So it shouldn't be that big of a problem where the whole building smells like whatever soap that I'm making. I'm sure like if you walk into that space, you would smell it in there, but you shouldn't be able to smell it all over the building if anyone is concerned with the scent being all in the building.
Okay. Great, great. No, that sounds good. Thanks for that. Anyone else have any additional questions for Rosie?
Good.
No, I mean, I think as long as, the scent is kind of maintained in the area, but I do wonder if we should just ask the current renters if they have any, if, they're opposed to it at all, because they're already renting there, right? I mean, we don't know if would be any problem.
Well,
That's my only concern, right?
there's ventilation in that building.
Yeah, and I feel like as a public space, it's should be available to the public at large to use. It shouldn't be up to the discretion of people who were there first.
Exactly.
That's a.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, comments before we go to public? Okay, anyone online that has or signed up has any questions, comments on resolution 27-02?
I'm not seeing any, Mr. Mayor. No.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and bring it back to council for final action. I guess real quick before we go to vote on this, then in the lease, I guess, yeah, to kind of address any concerns. I mean, you guys obviously have to negotiate some language in there, and you'd want to address to make sure that, that we couldn't have it, if the fragrances were too strong or, outside of her space, where there was causing any kind of, negative impacts or anything, you'd have to look at that. So, I think that's the biggest thing that I see. Obviously, it's not intended for a retail space. It's more for small manufacturing. So I think that's fine.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, there is a clause in here, clause 24, about quiet enjoyment, that I think that could be expanded, even though it's quiet, but also to include language about perfumes or scents or smells. So I can look into adding that language in.
Yeah, and it's like any lease, right? We write them and they're all negotiable. So you guys write them, you work it out, and let's make sure that we're protecting everybody, and then but where she can still get, do what she needs to do, and I'm totally fine with that approach. So if you guys are.
I think that's great. That was my only concern. I certainly like to see more retail, or I know it's not like in-house retail, but she's going to be selling it outside.
Just more business
Yeah.
in general, right?
Business
So.
in general is good. Business and housing.
All right, awesome. Sounds good. I guess if there's no additional comments, questions, we'll look for a motion to approve resolution 27-02.
I vote that 27-02 is passed.
I
Okay.
second.
Okay, we have a motion from Coleman to let's see, accept resolution 27-02 or approve it. Second by Taylor. Any further discussion on resolution 27-02 before we vote? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and vote on the approval of resolution 27-02. All those in favor, Langbart,
Aye.
Coleman, Taylor,
Aye.
Peyton.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes with 4 in the affirmative, 0 opposed, and 2 absent. Okay, thank you, everyone. It'll take us down to item N, City Manager's Report, and this will be in your laydown.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So page 8 of the laydown, and there's quite a few updates since there hasn't been, we haven't spoke since the.
Had a meeting in a while. Yeah.
There was a newsletter in between this meeting and the last meeting, so hopefully you saw that. It is in the packet. And I should have included also that we had a public notice for capital improvement project callouts, because just so you guys that's on your radar here in the next month, we need to start talking about the capital improvement plan, which is it's going to be great. It's unfortunate because it's another big project we have to go through, but it's such a useful guiding document. So thank you guys for your work on that. Quick updates then, starting on page 8. We are still going through negotiations with the awardee for the construction of Jackalope Bay Dock. We're just finagling some last minute details. Well, not last minute, we're finagling budget right now. So trying to make sure that we have a little bit of contingency. One thing, and maybe I shouldn't say this on the record yet, but I'm going to. One thing is we're looking at cost saving measures. And one of them is that if we actually build the approach bigger and go to 8 feet instead of 6 feet, it'll save us nearly $30,000. So we're going through MARED right now to make sure that we can meet that the NEPA requirements. We just have to go back through the agencies and let them know that we're considering expanding it by 2 feet wide, which would make a bigger dock, which is kind of cool.
So when you say approach, which sections are you referring
The
to?
beach out.
Okay, the main finger before the main dock before it splits.
Yeah.
Okay, is that because of the function of the size of the floats or something?
Yeah.
And those are more of a standardized float instead of a special product run? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So
I would love that if we could do that.
I knew you'd say that,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor. I was like, oh,
but not because it's impacting like what on either side is that.
We just, we need to, Mara didn't have taken any initial issue with it, but because it has an environmental review
Yeah.
requirement, we have to make sure we go back through and notify all of the appropriate agencies that we're gonna expand it. And hopefully we just get consensus back on that and it's fine. So it's taking a little bit, but in the end, hopefully it's a better product.
30
Yeah.
grand.
2 feet, hopefully they can give us that.
Yeah. Jackaloff Uplands, as you mentioned with Public Works report, the abandoned vehicles were removed and we did institute paid parking in large part thanks to Harbor Master Jan Peterson. That seems to be going well overall. We are working with DOT to make sure that we specify which portion of the parking lot is DOT right away and which parts are city leased land. And so we will do a map and I'm anticipating that'll come out here later on this week, just specifying those areas and making sure that we're watching for watching the city area and not as extensively the DOT area. So definitely want to be cognizant of that. We did a road trip out with Tyler Tucker and making sure that we're on the up and up. We still do need to complete the survey and the land appraisal and phase 1 study. I feel like I've been saying that for ages. I'm still waiting the survey instructions from DNR, so I'll reach back out to them tomorrow. Raw water transmission line replacement project, as I mentioned in the work session, the overall project has been completed. The new 10-inch water line is in place. Things seem to be running smoothly. We have requested a little more additional road work and because the funds are there and it's a little lumpy. And so we're asking that they just make that a little bit smoother and that there's a couple places that look like they're a little soft and narrow and may kind of spill off into the slough off, I guess is the word I'm looking for, into the hillside. So just build that up a little bit more. Facility improvements project for SFL. We had a setback when the engineers came and they were not impressed with the age of the building or the overall structural integrity. They did do a structural analysis and they do not recommend that we put additional weight on that building as it stands now. So then they did do a rough order of magnitude for cost estimates for the repair or replacement of the facility. It's about 190% more than what we have in our current budget. We're going from like 250,000 to 2.5 million. Whoa. To fix it. And with that, the recommendation being a complete replacement versus a remodel, and that would probably be a cost-saving measure. Of course, we don't have those funds at this time, so I've gone back to the engineering firm and the partnering construction firm and requested that in the meantime, they need to provide a temporary repair plan for the roof. So they've got 3 different options that they're looking at for some kind of a coating or covering that will seal it in. And I have put a call out into the CDBG and I'm waiting a response back so that hopefully we can use the remaining funds for that temporary repair and then to actually start some design and engineering for the overall project. And I do highly recommend that we have a work session on this in the near future. It can be part of the CIP or maybe standalone, but looking at what those options are and those costs, because this is going to be in a more immediate need, depending on the life of the temporary repair to the roof of the facility.
So is it just the back end of the building or the whole building?
The whole roof needs replaced, but because of the age, it's what they say 1930s structure. And the concrete itself pad is from the 1960s. And the standards that they built it in, there's concern about us putting additional weight. And we can already see, like you're mentioning, the back panel coming off, things are coming loose. There's concern about the overall safety of putting a new roof on top of the existing structure. And so the recommendation is to replace the whole structure, including the pad. So looking at that and what that would mean to disruption to business, I did throw out there about maybe looking at the alternative of a relocation across the street versus repair or replacement. But of course, that's up to you guys. And so I'm just putting that as a little thought in the back of your heads, that that's also a potential option. I don't know what that looks like, digging up streets and moving pipes. And I'm not really sure if that's something, what the feasibility of that is, but it's something we can look at. I did notify the tenants where we're at, and I plan on meeting with them next week to give them space to let us know what their preferences are, so that we can hopefully provide the best product with the littlest impact. But again, to say this is all planning, right? Where we don't want to put the cart before the horse. So this is a long road ahead of us, or I'm assuming the next couple of years while we try to find a solution.
Yeah, we talked about that. I mean, I brought that up multiple times that might be the way we have to go. I'm not saying that we're all going to agree on that, but I mean, certainly we've looked at that building a number of times and we know it was lightly engineered for its time. It was probably fine, but yeah, to today's standards,
No.
I'm sure it's way under what it needs to be on the snow load, the ground load, all of that stuff.
Maybe we have a work session after we hear back from the tenants.
Sure.
Or
That would
maybe
be-
take a, like they suggested, sealant on top of the roof for now. To get through the winter until this is resolved. I mean, I'm sure the tenants are disappointed, but I think taking some of that money and putting a sealant on there for now to,
If that's an option.
yeah.
Yeah, I think there's got to be a spray on coating
That's what
that
I'm getting.
that would solve
But-
that. I mean,
Yeah.
again, we've looked at that roof and the panels themselves are not in any bad shape. I mean, we already got rid of all the fiberglass panels. I think if we can just come up with some sort of coating that would seal that up, that would probably hold us for while we're dealing with the rest of this planning piece.
And getting the funds together or
Yeah.
moving or whatever it needs. to be.
Yeah. Right now they're looking at, I just received an email today. Option A is an acrylic coating system. Option B, a silicone base system, or option C, an EPDM glue down. So they're verifying costs and weights of each option, as they cannot exceed the code allowable, and should be getting back to us in a couple of days.
Yeah, an EPDM glue down, I highly doubt you because you're going to have to have a cover board that's going to have to be attached to that, and that's going to have some weight on it. And the weight of the EPDM itself you're going to have way too much weight with that. I guarantee you that. So any of the other two spray on
Just need
Yeah.
methods are probably going to be more reasonable.
Like we can just send them two.
I will let you guys know how this progresses, and yes, I think it's a disappointment, but hopefully overall, it's a better product in the end.
Yeah.
Main Street, Seldovia stormwater infrastructure improvements. The utility survey is scheduled for tomorrow. The work plan amendments to shift focus from Main Street North to Main Street South, which is by the Gateway Pavilion, were approved by Aqua. So we're excited to move forward with that project. Wanted to make sure that I note that there's no longer construction included in this project. However, purchasing materials and preparing an RFP so that eventually we can do the construction for the new inlet down by the Gateway Pavilion. And then we'll continue working with DOT to replace the inlet up by the harbor boat launch ramp. The Seldovia Stormwater Infrastructure Improvements Aqua Grant, which is Frank Raby and Vista, and I should probably better specify that on here. That's the name of it's Stormwater Infrastructure Improvements, but it really doesn't give you the gist of the project. So that's Frank Raby and Vista Avenue culvert replacement is at 95%, working its way to 100% for those design plans. The supplies are ordered. However, if you note, there is an ordinance that was introduced this evening for an additional $11,000 for those supplies, because everything is just going up in cost. But if approved by council at the next meeting, that'll allow us to proceed with this project and do those culvert repairs and culvert replacements, both on the corner of Frank Raby and Rocky, Frank Raby and Airport, and then Vista Avenue and Main Street, and then Upper Vista Avenue. So being able to address those areas, and then hopefully move ahead with some of our other problem areas in the future. City office and maintenance improvements, energy improvements is almost complete. We were able to extend that grant to August 31st. It was supposed to close out at the end of fiscal year. Had a great meeting with our funders, and we did extend it. As the windows and doors have arrived and the heat registers are on the way. We do have Meili Heating and Cooling LLC sending those registers down, and they are going to complete the installation before that August 31st deadline. So hopefully that'll button up that building a little bit more. It was real fun to see the visqueen taped on and boarded up on, especially that back door by the bathrooms this last winter. It got really cold. So this will hopefully add some efficiency and bring some new life to that building. The road materials, we had a little over $11,000 left in our state designated legislative grant, and I'm happy to report that we did spend out the majority of that. I think there's still a couple hundred left, but we ordered 180 yards of materials that were delivered by Dibble Creek a couple weeks ago. And so we'll continue to use that to put on our roads. It's been, it'll be especially beneficial when we do these culvert replacements to have that for on top or for part of it. Senior Meals Program FY27 was awarded, so that moves ahead like we budgeted. The VSW project on page 9 for water and sewer wastewater, you guys talked about at the work session today. We did submit an application for the assistance to firefighters grants for radio upgrades. And we also submitted our brick application, which was, you heard about the dam in the work session. You also passed a resolution at the last city council meeting on June 8th, committing a 25% match to the dam project. And we were notified that that application, so we submitted to the state and the state did submit it to FEMA. So it's on its way, looking positive. I'm not nervous. We shouldn't be nervous. That could be a great thing for the community. So I'll start working on some matching funding opportunities in the hopes that we get that. And then with the Historic Boardwalk Improvements Project, I don't know why that's still highlighted. We already talked about it. So that was submitted as an SS4A grant application. Other updates, as you may have noted on this agenda, we are now in fiscal year 27. So everything's FY27, and crazily enough, and this actually last month even, we're already talking about FY28, which just boggles my mind this time of year.
Yeah.
The motor grader lease was paid off for the budget. It was a little bit over what was budgeted. That should be a dollar sign, not a number sign. However, we felt like we still had council's consent, as the intent was to pay that off. And then continue moving forward with some of the other budget recommendations with those funds. So that we own a grader now. 2027-2032 capital improvement plan, as stated earlier. We need to start that talk. We do have new cost estimates for the SFL building, the boat storage yard, electricity, and crane improvements. We also received a few, or at least one comment on Facebook, asking for some improvements to the boat haul out ramps, and some other projects. So we'll make sure that we include that for the work session. C Street culvert, as Riley mentioned, was repaired. Dock Street's ongoing. We did have an issue with our MPB fire alarm inspection for this building. They were slated to do some repair. And during that repair, the 1977 panel downstairs stopped working. So we're coming up with a new plan and putting temporary alarms in here in the meantime. Riley did a really great job of surmising some of those public works summer projects that they are still anticipating. There's a few more on here if you notice, just making sure that we are tracking their time and hopefully able to complete as much as possible, but knowing that everybody is human and can only do, we only have so much time in the day. So we have the Reveat project, that windows and doors installation is on them. The heat registers is on the other company. The water treatment plant storage tank sealant is on us. And I said that's ordered, but it's here. Harbor siting will be harbor maintenance staff. The water meter pilot program, which I know just keeps getting pushed off further and further, is still a priority and on the list. That may be spring next year, because then we also have the MPB senior meal stairs install that are here, the Frank Raby and Vista stormwater improvements. We were going to address some of the Eider Lane water main improvement concerns, and the outside beach culverts need some repair as well. So, and that's not on to that doesn't include any of the daily emergencies or needs that pop up. Speaking of water treatment plant and distribution system, I did want to let you guys know they're still high. We're still running around 90,000. So we know there's more leaks. We're just trying to address this one at this point in time. So if anybody has an area that's suspicious, if you're sitting at home at night and you hear water running, let us know. Because there's still at least another leak or two. The CDS was acting up and had to be recalibrated, and there's still some ongoing needs there. It seems like it's always having to be babied along, and Riley, he's handled it really well. I think it stresses him out a bit, but he doesn't let on, and he takes really good care of it. So we really appreciate him taking good care of that plant. And then we talked about doing some hydrant flushing this fall. We'll have to see how the state of the system is when we get there. Jan mentioned the FY25 audit is almost complete. City employment update. Alex Rojas is no longer with the city. We did hire a temporary fill-in for the ferry line handling and ticket agent. I want to welcome back Allison Ryan for that position. And we're still hiring for a senior meals assistant, custodian, and public works operator. Last reminder, AML Summer Conference is being held at the end of August. If anybody is interested, please let us know. That's in Fairbanks. I'm not planning on attending at this time because I attended the Northwest Managers Conference this spring, and that just seems like we'd be duplicating efforts. As well as I should have included on here, be taking personal leave the week before to take my son to Fairbanks for college, and for a memorial. So I will be out August 18th through the 24th. We have a meeting on the 24th. So I'm going to try to make sure to make it back that unless you guys are interested in having it on the 26th instead. But but we can talk about that later. The WebCoos camera is live and on the website, and that's on the city building. So definitely check that out. I think we were going to do a Facebook post. Haven't yet. Did we do it?
Not yet,
Okay.
on the list.
Which way is that camera pointing?
It does 4 views, so it does kind of towards not, it doesn't do the ferry, but it does towards the ferry, the Seldovia Bay Ferry. It does the city dock. It does out by Watch Point Island, and then it goes out to the buoy.
Oh.
You can zoom out. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it is on our website. You can look at it.
That's right, on the
left-hand
website.
side. It has the city dock webcam.
Okay.
The video isn't live on there, but if you click on the link, it will.
Okay.
It will go to the website.
AML grant writing services, the contract ended. We did include, or you guys did include funding in the FY27 budget to continue with that service. So we just need to negotiate and move forward if we want to continue with that service. It's been pretty fruitful so far. I am a little bit nervous about continuing to bring on grants, but because that's the other part with the FY25 audit is we were told that we probably need to bring on some additional support, and considering that with how much our finance officer is handling right now. So we are weighing internally on how much we can continue to do and manage, and what
not
those
in our
priorities are.
Yeah.
And also how maybe we can do some restructuring with existing staff to make sure we're meeting those needs. Alaska Long Range Transportation Plan, there's just a couple days left. If you guys want to make a public comment, use that link and check that out. We also had the AMHS draft winter ferry schedule. City staff did attend the virtual public meeting last week. It was really sad. Prince William Sound is not going to see service for from like October to February, I think it was. So there was a lot of communities that were pretty upset.
Wow.
We're very fortunate now that we're pretty much, I shouldn't say we are in the range of acceptable service for the Tustamina at this point in time, because she has some pretty severe restrictions on her. Severe is maybe not the right word. She has weather restrictions and things because of the cracks in the hull. So she just kind of stays in our area and does the chain run a couple times in the summer. So so far, we're very fortunate that we continue to receive that service. And there are a lot of communities who we know are going without. So lastly, the Seldovia Planning Commission had a couple of meetings, and they will have, and so they will they'll start that comprehensive zoning review now that the assessment the agreement has been approved with AML for this meeting, and they had the variance discussion, which you guys discussed. So their next meeting is beginning of August, if you guys are interested. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Awesome. Thanks, Heidi. As always, lots of information. Any questions, comments for the city manager and her report tonight?
I just had a question about the zoning. So partnering up, have they come up with any rezoning ideas? Do we have like an initial sort of like, concept draft of what some of those areas, if any, would be changing, or where are we at with that?
Thank you. Through the mayor. So you guys just approved the agreement with AML, and they're going to do an initial analysis. And if you look at page,
So they haven't done, this is okay.
no, we're
okay,
gonna
okay,
start it.
good.
There is a timeline. If you go to page 12 of your regular packet, and then it'll be a couple pages on from that. You'll see the work that they're gonna do and the timeline, starting on page 14. And actually, this one does not include the timeline. I apologize for that.
That's okay. I
We
did
do
kind of look
have it.
through it and I didn't see it, but I could have easily missed it
Yeah,
as
so
well.
they're gonna do an initial review, and they're really using the comprehensive plan for
Yeah.
this report.
Right.
So they'll come to Seldovia. We have some target areas that are listed in the comprehensive plan. They'll do a full review of the community. We'll get a report on that, and then they'll expand that report and their findings based on the rest of the comprehensive plan. to ensure that we're meeting that vision, or recommending alternatives if we're not. And then they'll do an overlay and alternative development options, so providing what those options are to meet those needs. And then report review assistance as we work through those final findings. So those are the phases of the project.
Okay.
Sounds great. Sounds really good.
And I think they were hoping
I'm
it was gonna
excited.
be done by November on their end, so maybe December on our end at the planning commission level. If things go smoothly, you might see it at the beginning of the new year.
Okay, great. All right, I'll take us down to item O, informational items not requiring action. Absentee in-person voting for the state primary election begins Monday, August 3rd, 2026. Voting hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Seldovia City Clerk's office. So again, that'll be for our primaries coming up. Item P, executive session, none. Item Q, council and mayor comments concerning items not on the agenda. See, Langbart?
No comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Coleman?
Nothing at this time.
Taylor?
I had one, I can't think of it.
Peyton?
Yeah, someone tell Allison Miller that we're the more competitive location to live, so she should come teach for us. Just saying, we got this Tussie service, so we're winning. Prince William, take that.
All right, thank you. Yeah, nothing from me tonight other than just thanks again. It's been a while since we've had a meeting. Appreciate all the updates and everything. Let's see, next meeting will be a regular meeting, right now held on Monday, August 10th, 2026. And we'll look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. Any objections? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Okay, thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.